thing, sipping on the lean, never with a 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 thing.
Peace, y'all. This is God in them streets. I'm here today to welcome home my grand, glorious brother, Kendu Allah. Yes, you know, from Crown Heights, East New York, Linden Plaza, as we better know it, amongst the gods, Mount Everest, 29,141 feet high. Yeah, I'm here to welcome home my brother that just got through doing wisdom years in the federal penitentiary, you know, the pen, the belly of the beast, behind them walls, gladiator school, 8 million stories in a naked city. All that and above, you know, and it takes a lot to be able to fight and win back your freedom, because they had hit my brother with 5 life sentences. An individual that by far didn't deserve that type of, treatment in the system. And as far as I know, he ain't tell nothing on nobody. He ate it like a champ. And now we welcome you back to the free cipher. Okay, I'm gonna begin my journey with one stating that I was elated that when my man Glaze, threw up his little video a few days ago talking about Kendu coming home, that whatever indifferences that they had in the past could be let go. Because once again, like Glaze said, we all grown men, we all adults. Any grown man that been out here in these so-called streets, in the jungle, the hood, or whatever, and you are teaching or manifesting anything to these youth other than the truth, then you know what you need. You need that Ezekiel. You need that punishment. Like when I say unto the wicked, and thou shalt surely die, and thou gives them not warning, nor speak to warn the wicked of his wicked ways, but his blood will I require at thy hand. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 18. Anyway, me and Kendu first met playing ball for Brooklyn, USA. That's St. John's Community Center, right across the street from Albany Projects. That back at that time, like I said, that's the first place that I ran into the knowledge of the 5% Nation of Gods of Earth, 1973, with my cousins who were Jolly Stompers, who eventually, changed their name to ex-cons, and then from ex-cons, they all became 5%ers. So me and Kendu met in Brooklyn, USA. We both had universal flags on, and he said, "Peace, God," and I said, "Peace, God," to him. Our universal greeting, peace, which means the absence of all confusion, and we began to build with each other from there. And I told him where I was from, and he told me where he, was from. And like I said, we both was in our junior year in high school. At that time, he was playing for Westinghouse. I was playing for Franklin K. Lane. I could have also played with the Riverside Hawks that year on their B team, junior team with Lorch, but I decided not to play with them nor to play with Brooklyn, USA. So the next time that we came encounter with each other, physically is, at a few of the parliaments, our rallies back then, the last Sunday each month, which, in the guard ciphers, the 70s, early, 80s, mid 80s, was not even standing room inside the auditorium, outside, brothers and sisters coming from every borough. Everybody know that last Sunday of the month, especially the law train, we're going to be full from every borough going uptown, So we would see each other back and forth at rallies, and then eventually they moved up to Mount Everest, and at that time I was hanging up there, a lot more frequent than I was even hanging in my own project, Cypress, because by that time, it was like kind of a shift, and the brothers up on, Mount Everest, they was still building hardcore, and my brother, rest in peace, rest in power, at that time his name was Haj Malik, and he changed his name to Ayallah, and his brother, Divine Justice, who's Kedar, those, those were my brothers, still to this day, mostly all them brothers, is like my brothers from another mother. And we had a close-knit, brothers, the guards, builders, Black man's philosophy, science, God, Sir John Hardy Hawkins Jr., the biochemical reconstructive terms of mathematics, Law 360, a law world manifest, the supreme understanding, all that. My brother, my great brother that returned to the essence that helped civilize all Nubia, Father Divine, the revelation of the vision of the devil's television as the world turns and young and the restless have a love of life that gives them the urge to search for tomorrow, but they still remain with the dark shadows and lost to space because they do not have the guiding light, and all they have to do is get smart and acquire the proper knowledge of Islam and take one step beyond into the twilight zone. So please, all my children, don't eat the daisies that kept you bewitched and walking around like Frankenstein monster. Yeah, the God wrote that degree in 1972, But anyway, like I said, when they moved up there on Mount Everest, we was blazing, every day, all day, nothing but 120, nothing but breaking down, degrees and, masonry and this, that, and the third. We was sharp, steel sharp and steel. So when them brothers moved up from Kush Heights, Crown Heights, or whatever, see, back then, the closer you was to Manhattan, because, Mecca, that's the fashion and everything. It's just that once you come over the bridge to Medina, as we say, Brooklyn, we break it down our way. Ace, Deuce, Trey, the Buckets, the Robin Hoods, the Quarterfields, they might get it first up in Mecca and Manhattan, but once it hit Brooklyn, it's a whole other style. And once it hit Brooklyn, it's going to go, in order, of course. The brothers that's downtown in the head, Fort Greene, you know what I'm saying? Then the heart, Bed-Stuy, then Kush Heights or whatever to work his way out to Brownsville, East New York. Because like I said, when I moved out to East New York back then, it was mostly Caucasians out there, But anyway, we was fly like everybody else. We did our thing. But when Kendu and them, shout out his older brother, Two Ball, my man, shout out Rasun, all of them, like I said, man, them brothers is like for real, my brothers from another mother, But anyway, when they moved out there, they brought that element, So of course, the younger guards, was attracted to them also. Because, they was the piece with the magnetic as far as, being fly, the dressing, the jewelry, so forth. Everybody's coming into their manhood right around now. So, you know, Kendu had impressed me with this, ideal that they had came up with. And I thought we was like the first ones to come out with it uh, until I seen the Freddie Myers documentary, and Freddie Myers was also a 5%er. Some of my older brothers that was back then up in King's Towers, they said his name was Ibn, and he was supposed to have been like one of the first brothers that came to our father-in-law, and told Law he was about ready to sell, heroin. And heroin is outlawed in our 5% nation of gods of earth, just like dust, which was later on when our brother Universal Shangar that made the flag. But anyway, the brother Freddie Myers, Ibn, he stepped to the father and told him he's about ready to sell some, some dope, and the father said, I respect that, son. And, he went on about his business and he didn't, get out in the street and manifest that he was a part of the nation anymore because that was outlawed. But anyway, in his documentary, he talked about how he used to go up to 7th Street, the Diamond District, and, they would throw bricks into the window, smash and grab like all y'all young boys is doing all over the place. And y'all think y'all the first one to come up with this, great criminal mind, activity. But like they always say, man, ain't nothing new underneath the sun. Just like we thought we was the first crew to do that. But like I said, Freddie Myers, Ibn, that they was doing that back in the 60s. And he talked about how that's why when he became big in the drug game, that all them pimps and all of them that bought all that jewelry, that they robbed them, molested them for the prices that they gave him, that when he got big in the drug game, he used to extra tax them for what they did to him with the jewelry. But moving right along, we came up, or Kendu and them came up with that brilliant ideal, and we started going to 47th Street, putting bricks in the garbage can, throwing them through the window, and coming up, with jury, and that was a great ideal. At that time, I was back and forth, going to college. So in between 1980 and 84, I was back and forth. So, I would catch some of these capers and whatever. But from that point on, it was a change, and I'm not going to say a change that was negative because, like I told y'all before, GMG, getting money guards, it was that era, it was that time, and moving right along, after they got up there and being that they was coming with this flashy, Crown Heights, guard type thing, brothers from my project started hearing about them, So, of course, my comrades, Tut, Rick, Boo Brown, this one, that one, all of those, Glaze, all of them, because they always felt like the individuals that was up on Plaza, Mount Everest, was a little soft because, they had, mothers and fathers that had civil service jobs, and a lot of people that used to live in Cypress and used to live in pink houses that moved up there also, So they just felt like, these guys, they used to having money and all that. And it wasn't even that type of party because it wasn't nothing soft about them at all. Matter of fact, when doing them got out there, a lot of people didn't know. You know what I'm saying? They had plenty of guards you not, plenty. Used to be times I used to borrow from them, when the team had problems, and they would bring sharpened carts and, you know what I'm saying? That's how it was. But a lot of things people don't know, how the intricate workings, of some of these environments was, not unless you was like really, really in it. That's why it be hurting my heart when all these cats be, overlooking and not showing just due respect. But moving right along, like I said, I could go in all them projects, you know, because at that time, you know, we're not a gang, like I always say. But at that time, we talking about every barrel, you know, the 5% nation, well known, you know. So, like I said, by doing them coming up there, you know, all the wolves, you know, started tingling. So they moved up there, you know, and was coming up there. So happily, I was up there a few nights, you know, it only took like once or twice, you know, and I'm not saying I was no super gangster, this, that, and the third, but understand, I grew up with all these individuals. That's why I don't like to hear none of that beef, you know, jazz that be going on, you know, and the crazy part is, once again, I'm not bragging, boasting about that environment that I come out of, but mostly all my homies, you know what I'm saying? That's all they got is Born Cypher Divine Wise. That's bodies, if y'all don't know. You know? So when they moved upon them at that time, I was up there, whatever, and off the rip, y'all, they G.O.D. You know, those are the guards. I don't know what you heard, how you think, or anything, because I never played two sides of the fence. You know what I'm saying? We used to have beef in lane, and anybody that's back there from that time will tell you, I'll be in the, you know, 315, Shorty Long, AJ, Mitch, you know what I'm saying, Lucky, you know, the whole crew, Moon, Dexter, you know, they went to different schools. Dexter was a little older, but my, you know, our little mob that was there at that time, you know, and we be getting STEM or whatever, and you know, my man Tajir, that was a guard from Bushwick, you know, Sangria, you know, Brent Lawrence, you always my man, you know, and I'm always gonna keep it G'd up with you and always got love for you. But they went through a little situation, him and Jimbo from the back. And my man Tajir used to wear a lot of jewelry and all that, and they tried him, and you know, the guard had to perform. You know, he had a duck knife on him, so he hit up them two cats, you know, my homies from my projects and everything. And the next day is supposed to be an all-out war on the guards of 5%ers, you know. But I'm up in the building, you know, smoking with them and everything, and they talking about it, and right off the rip, I'm gonna bring it up. Like, yo, I know y'all got beef with us, boom, boom, boom. But you know, tomorrow when I get to school, y'all know who I'm with. I'm with the guards, man. I'm a true and living guard. I don't know how to play no two sides of the fence, 50-50, all that. You know what I'm saying? So they understood that, you know, and they respected that because that's the way I always been. Or I was always the individual, you know, even if, you know, because I ain't saying all 5% was right, all my so-called A-likes. I done had dirt done to me that's stories later on down the line. But it's just like blood family. We all go through things with each other. But at the end of the day, that's still our family, you know? Like how we was raised, you know, if I go somewhere with you, I'm coming back home with you. Even if you was in the wrong and you got out there, got drunk, got stimulated, squeezed some chicks behind, did something, anything, or we crewed up in another hood, you want to get off reckless, knowing we outgunned and everything else, or out knife or whatever. But I can't take off and leave you. Because if I leave you and I get back to the hoods and my OGs find out what took place, then you know, you power, you save it, why? You know, so if we leave together, we coming back home together. That don't mean that I'm going out with your ignorant, you know, Allah self again. But that's just the way it is. So like I said, you know, I squashed that as far as, you know, to that point of them even thinking that, like, but that wasn't really it. Just cause, you know, your name ain't popping all in the hood for knocking niggas' helmets off or doing this, that, and the third, you know, don't mean it ain't going down because bad boys move in silence. And one thing and two for sure, if you start getting any real type of paper, You know what I'm saying? You might have been power you, savior, savior, why? But once you start getting that money, you understand? And it only take two, inches of pressure or something. It don't take much to squeeze. And most of all, if you getting real bread, you always got the individuals that will do that for you or knock a nigga out or whatever. The only thing that become crazy is that some individuals get money and then all of a sudden they want to be a whole lot tougher than what they really are. You know you ain't cut from that cloth. You know you ain't earned no stripes. You know what I'm saying? And on some real G'd up shit, you know what I'm saying? We don't take advantage of individuals that you could take advantage of. What we used to say back in the days, oh, you know what I'm saying? You don't get no points, you know what I'm saying, for hooking off on a sucker, or you don't get no points, you don't earn no points for doing something to somebody that you know ain't gonna do nothing back to you. So, like I said, after that, you know what I'm saying? I was back and forth to school and everything else and doing them, they was doing what they was doing. And then, the understanding era came up. The cocaine era came up. Oh, right before that, I'm gonna tell this little part too, right? And see, this is why I know none of y'all cats can front on me, because y'all know what I be saying. What be coming out the God's mouth is 100% word is bond. You know what I'm saying? And once again, don't forget to hit the like button. Y'all got to hit the like button and subscribe to God in them streets. And thank y'all once again. I'm up to 14,000 views. I'm up to 288, on the subscribers. So let's keep turning it up. So getting back to what I was saying, right? All of us in our script doing our thing, you know what I'm saying? Down Aubrey Square Mall, the whole kit and caboodle. So of course, when you moving in them circles and you go into the fever, you go on the Latin quarters, you go on the Barnes International, back then I was Far Rockaway, 88th Street, Bates Hall, St. Gabriel's. I could go all over, okay? But in the course of that, of course, you doing your thing, we gonna all run into the same chicks. So shout out to wherever you at, Vicky, right across the street from if I'm not Whitecoff, right? She used to stay right across the street from Whitecoff Projects, But anyway, back in that time, any sisters that I dealt with or whatever, automatically, the guard gonna drop jewels on you and try and, put you up in 3/4 and civilize you. So most of them sisters, even if they was out there and they was attracted to us, I was, trying to change too much of their life. So she ended up with my book of life. And I don't know how me and the chick fell off or whatever it may be. But anyway, after that, I ran into Kendu at the Parliament and he was like, yo, man, I rolled up in there, I'm talking to her, boom, boom, and she pulled out this book of life, Shabu, and boom, boom. I thought it was you, God. Is it? I said, yeah, God, I've been trying to get my book of life back from that broad, boom, boom, boom. He said, I got you. And, that's what the God did. His word was his bond, and he got the book of life, and I got my book of life back. And that book was so special to me because, that was the first album book I had in God Equality when I got this for real, and learned my 120. So anyway, Kendu hit it back, got it back to me. So moving right along, going into, the 80s, early 80s and everything, I come home from school, Scarface is coming out, and they had just got through doing, another one of their jokes, and they was up You know, my man Cheesy, a few other cats. Lord bless the ones who returned to the essence. My man Shabazz, you know, Barry Taylor, you know, them individuals had a lot with bringing them up in the understanding game, you know. So, like I said, they had quarter late and they started moving toward, you know, with the powder thing, you know. And at that time, I was still against, you know, cocaine or anything like that on that type of level because, you know, I always seen, you know, how drugs, you know, usually destroy the foundation or the fiber, you know, of any organization, group of people, or whatever, you know. And sure enough, you know, that was the beginning of, you know, the end because from the cocaine, just selling 20s and dimes and all that. And then, you know, none of them really knew nothing about, you know, cooking the coke and bringing it back until I brought it to their attention. And that's another whole episode because when I mention this person, y'all gonna really know that I was with the business. You know what I'm saying? That's my man. Yes, the Eddie Richardson. If I'm not mistaken, you know what I'm saying? He returned to the Essence a long while back, you know. But he had owned half of Disco Fever with Sal. You know, I used to be in his crib with Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flat. Yeah, right up there on St. Nicholas Terrace. You know? Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. You know, they used to come over there to his crib and I used to be up in Disco Fever. Shout out to Linda. Shout out to Jackie. Shout out to his man that he had under his wing back then, Brian. If all of y'all is still alive, y'all gonna say, yo, psh, Shabu ain't telling no lies, you know? But anyway, it was funny how me and him met, because like I said, I was in my senior year of college, you know, down at St. Aug, and he kept hearing my name, and he had sent the chick Jackie at that time, you know, was one of his girls, young girls down there to go to school, you know, and I happened to stay for summer school, so I had met her when she came with the College Brown program and all that from New York, boom, boom, boom. So after that, like I said, Holmes came through. I didn't even know he was there. I went to my man Chili T, that's from Jersey. Shout out Chili T, East Orange. You know what I'm saying? And we used to live in these off-campus houses down on Addison and Glasgow at that time, and it was banging back. That's the 80s. We had whole houses to ourselves living. So I go up to Chili Tea House, they having a dice game. So of course, you know me, I like to get it on with, you know, the CeeLo. And I go to start gambling, I start talking, you know, being square from Delaware, all my slick shit. And then they shout, boy, he like, yo, man, I've been hearing a lot about you. Woo, woo, woo. Anyway, me and him lock in. All right? And my man had his spot on 188th Street and Jerome and Burnside. It was called Games People Play. Sweet G made a record behind that called Games People Play. Behind my man, you know what I'm saying, Crazy Eddie spot, you know? And that's how I learned, you know, about moving around. They had a spot called 25 West back then that they used to gamble in, man. I seen, you know, BX ain't no joke. I seen a couple of cats, you know, get their whole melon knocked, right? Like right in front of my face, you know, and hit the ground and, you know, dick come up in the air, piss shit, you know. Y'all know what it is, those of you that really been there, okay? But anyway, that's who turned me first on to the game, you know? And back then, you know, shit, 8 ball was going for, you know, $300, $100 a gram with cats that was selling it. You know, I could go back to Brooklyn, cut that shit up with some lactose a Nesitol and, an 8-ball back then, you can make that shit in a damn like, $700-800. But the coke was so good back then, that's before the Dominicans started cutting it. So, the first time doing them realized what's going on with me, we up in disco fever. And so happily that night, right, Run DMC, the Fat Boys, and another thing, okay, when they made Crush Groove, my man Big Man Dingo that was downstairs that used to, check everybody and all that, yeah. So y'all know it's official. But anyway, that night I was up there and it was off the chain that night. You had Run DMC, you had the Fat Boys, you had Curtis Blow. I don't know if them cats, I don't even know if Positive K was out or something. But it might have been, somebody else that was in that era at that time. And they seen me up there, and I'm in the back with Sal and my man Crazy Eddie, like, drinking all the Moet that I wanted to drink and everything, and they had just, that's when the 190Es came out, they had just copped their little powder blue 190E, Law Bless the Dead too, my man Shabar, you know what I'm saying? Al Pringle, Chico, and they was all moving. Pluma, the whole crew. Little Wonderful, But anyway, that night, I think it was just Dude, Rason, and, might have been Bar, and they caught me up there. Shy, I'm coming from the back. What's up? Like, yo, these my peoples, And at that time, my man Crazy Eddie was trying to get me to set up shop, in Brooklyn, because the crack hadn't hit Brooklyn like that yet, So I'm telling Dude, I'm telling my man Waco, y'all check the books, man. Stop playing with me, man. Check the books, for real, the book of life, okay? So, I'm telling Dude and them like, yo, because that's when, my man, he was cooking that shit back then in a test tube, and it used to just oil up and boom, he just hit the shit on the plate and boom, just drop it oily. And then that shit would dry up in the one mountain, And he tested me back then. You know what I'm saying? That's before pipes, all that shit is out. I'm about 22 years old, fresh out of college, and boom. He put some aluminum foil on the glass, punched some holes in it, you know what I'm saying? Took some ashes, put it on there, put a piece on there, you know what I'm saying? He said, hit that. No, I hit it, And I hit it and I passed it back like, yo, man, what the fuck is that, man? That shit, I don't like that shit. That shit ain't nothing. He said, good. And he was the first one to come to me with all that shit y'all learned in Scarface, Don't get high on your own supply. You know what I'm saying? If your mama want credit, debt it, all that slick shit. That was real. Everything that Big told y'all in the 10 Commandments was real. But let me move right along because I don't want to take all night with this one right here. But anyway, so doing them see me and I let them know like, yo, my man, he's cooking this shit with baking soda, the coke. And they laughing, like, come on, Shabu, you come home with all this. We know you a scientist, God, but you bugging, But I wasn't bugging, ladies and gentlemen. And y'all know I wasn't bugging, And around 85, East, everywhere, Brooklyn, whatever, bang, sure enough, it started popping, So, of course, we all fell victim to the game. Like I said, I'm not here to glorify this right here, so don't get, when I tell these little stories or whatever that I'm trying to glorify this, I'm just telling y'all the facts, okay? One fact back then, let me show y'all cats that talk all about this game shit, because a lot of y'all, y'all was just, but y'all don't understand the foundation of this, okay? So boom, we start doing our thing. Back at that time, right, when we used to cook and everything, it was rocks. So once it bing, bing, bing in the glass and you go do your thing and put it in the valves, most of the people just want to put rocks in there. So guess what us dumb, didn't know nothing about hustling individuals did? We used to take the dust and throw it away. Yeah, shout out to my man Prince, 17th floor, building 5. You know what I'm saying? Everybody up there bagging up biggies and 62s and throwing dust away. We almost fell off into the little ruler thing, but that got outlawed. But yeah, we was throwing dust away at that time. It wasn't until my man Jamaica George showed me one day when my mans and all them broke out to go to the Knick game and I didn't want to go. And Uli left me with a 62 to bag up, in the store, which I'll tell y'all the guards joint, we had the longest run over there on Logan between Sutter and Belmont. And everybody know that. Once again, not bragging about that neither. But anyway, my man Don Uli left me a 62 to bag up. So, I bagged it up. I got like 12 and a half grams of dust left over. So I'm about ready to take the dust, throw it in the garbage. My man George like, yo, what you doing? I'm like, yo, man, I'm throwing this dust away. He said, nah, man, we had a hot plate in the store. He said, yo, go to the corner store and bring me back a beech nut jar, with and I got you. So sure enough, put the water in the pot, hooked up the hot plate, water started to boil, took the 12 and a half grams of dust, dumped it in the little beech nut jar. You know what I'm saying? Water got hot, add a little water, boom, boom, boom. Next thing y'all know, that shit knotted back up. Boom! Bagged up another 6 and some change. Gave him 2 and some change, and it was off to the races after that, because it took a while for everybody else to catch on. But, that's just real talk, And basically, doing them, started building their own empire, and a lot of brothers, that's why I say nowadays, I gotta be on there because I feel some responsibility because, I had did, like a law said, for us to go to school, get a trade, be successful in all walks of life. But once again, like I said, it's choices that you make. And being I made that wrong choice in my junior year and trying to impress my OGs and having a hammer on me, I caught my first felony. So now I'm out of college with a business administration degree and I'm going around suit and tie and here and there and, temp agencies, whatever. But, that's why I say, man, make the right choices while you young. God in them streets. I'm here to give you these jewels, But like I said, I slipped up. So I was always used to, making my way on the street. So the drug game was no different. It just was, it was never like that before. I mean, yeah, the herons, but you had your, Nikki, this one, that one. But when that came along, anybody could get rich. And especially anybody that had any heart or anybody that came from, come on. Like I said, Brooklyn, all we was ever used to doing was taking shit. So when this drug game came along, this was something entirely different to us. The cats uptown, they always had the old timers, you know what I'm saying, to put them on. Yeah, we jostle, we boost, we, you know what I'm saying, we slum, you know what I'm saying, pickpockets, no end, all those crimes, you know. But most of the time where we was at, you know, everything was strong on. Put a cat in the L, you know what I'm saying? Knock a nigga out, you know, that type of thing. You know, that's why I say don't take nothing from nobody, but I respect the, you know, the cat that'll come in and take something from me rather than for you to be a sneak thief or home invasion or, you know, a nigga that's gonna break in my house when, you know, I'm out of town and all that, you know, that cat burglary type nonsense, you know? So, you know, doing them built their empire, you know? They was doing their thing, you know? That's when I first, you know, found out about that chick, you know, from Fat Cat baby mother, A. Maisha, you know, because she used to come out there to see dude, you know. Because like I said, man, you know, them my brothers, GMG, because I used to, you know, my projects and other individuals, I really didn't hang out with them. I really didn't hang out too tough, even though all of us grew up together and we could be in places with one another, look out for each other because we all from the same hood and we all grew up together. But, you know, I always trusted being around the guards more because we had something in common, you know? And we wasn't about being savages, especially amongst one another, you know? So I knew that they wouldn't come and try and kill my old earth or kill my seeds or whatever. Later on, a lot of that went out the window too, you know? But most of the time when I go out or whatever, I'm with doing them, you know? The Q Club, you know? The Tunnel, you know? The Palladium, the Encore, you know? The Rink, you know? The Garage, whatever, you know? And when it comes to that stunting, that jury and all that fly guy, all that type shit, yo, you'll see. I got plenty pictures to show. And that's another thing, y'all. Back then, you know, I wasn't the type of cat that used to like jumping all up in the flicks and all this out. You know, like I said, from day one, you know, I was military trained, you know. Damu, Dr. Guard, Obafemi, you know what I'm saying? Original third world. You know, I come from out of that. You know, too young to be a black messiah. A little bit too young to be a Buccaneer Lord, but we made up our own joint. The Sons of Dance, if y'all remember Dan Supreme, yeah. So, like I said, everybody doing their thing, you know? And it was times where, you know, they couldn't score or whatever. But that became what it was. And it wasn't until, you know, when Pappy and Cat and them, you know, did what they did. They changed the whole dynamics in New York City. And TNT came up. Tactical Narcotics Task Force, APN, you know, Straight Narcotic Task Force. And they went bananas, you know. So a lot of individuals started going out of town, doing their thing. Either they was going upstate, Connecticut, and all them spots, or, you know, the majority migrated B-More, DC, and then, you know, the Carolinas, you know? So y'all all know how that went, you know, and eventually my man Du, you know, got knocked off down there in VA, you know, and They gave him 5 life sentences. And like Glaze said, man, ain't everybody that was out there was with that murder shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't really got to be like that. You know, be who you are. Because for one thing, and two for sure, if you living that destructive lifestyle, there's only 2 places for you. Jail or the graveyard. And I'm not going to go too much longer with this because, like I said, man, supreme shout out. I can't wait to see my brother in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? It was many months, years, and days, you know, that I said in my mind and put out that positive energy that an individual like you can do with touch the free cipher again because you deserve it, God. We all did our things wrong with, you know, making money out there and, you know, destroying our neighborhood through, like I said, that crack era, which is the Black Holocaust. But now, you know, you back out here. And you know how it go. I know how it go. I don't know how any of these other young brothers that's getting caught up, that's millionaires in this rap game, you know what I'm saying, with the Rico Suave. Let me tell y'all young individuals, if you out here committing all these crimes, especially murder, you know, drug selling, extortion, whatever, you know, gang affiliation, they is not playing. The United States of America is not playing. Domestic or international. So if you thinking that you got enough money to fight the feds, you're out of your mind. If you think rolling around with, you know, because you know the RICO, all they got to do is prove that you got 3 or more people operating in an illegal capacity. Phone call, anything that you involve anybody, money, any of that. And it's with assets or without assets. So don't think because you wasn't a capo or you wasn't getting no real bread or this. Nah. And most of the time they come for, you know, the bottom people first to work their way on up to getting who they want at the top. Understand the word conspiracy, y'all. Start looking and start, you know, getting Black's Law's Dictionary and all that, and really understanding the penal code laws, really understand the federal laws. Because they don't care. And when they come, they got you. 9 out of 10 times, they got you. And if you beat them this time, and you continue to be a fool and do something and get in their path or flaunt or whatever, because remember, they brought the mob down. Remember the real Dons, they didn't dig what Gotti used to do. And especially not when he was beating them in them courtrooms. Because, like they say, it's the United States of America versus you, or versus you and your crew. And they will tell you, like Suffering Something used to be out in Queens, Judge Rothwax. He used to tell cats, look out the window, you see that tree? And person will say no. He said, well, there'll be one there by the time you come home. And we all know how long it takes for trees to grow. So once again, y'all brothers got an opportunity to make multi-million dollars. Stop destroying your hoods, or as we used to say, like Born King said, the neighborhoods. Because back then when we grew up in those environments, and like I was listening to J.O. Felony, and I've been, shout out to my man, Showface, shout out to Big Born, with Big King of New Jersey, shout out to Doggy, shout out to Matt Hoffa, and a couple of these other shows that I've been watching out here. And the reason why I keep saying them, is because, I like the way that they be presenting and delivering. All of us is not going to deliver the same. But like I said, man, we all left the city and brothers caught a lot of cases and did a lot of time so that y'all young brothers who got rich in the rap industry that followed the hustler's culture wouldn't have to go back to those negative things, wouldn't have to go back to jeopardizing your life, wouldn't have to go back to having your mother and your father and your wife and your children and everybody go through that turmoil, because you might be a G and you might could withstand anything they throw at you, including the book. But when your baby starts saying through the phone, "Daddy, you coming home?" You know what I'm saying? Your mama start crying. You know what I'm saying? Your wife or your girlfriend, or a kid, you know what I'm saying? They got to come on them visits, or you expecting them, you know what I'm saying, the whole steadfast for 15, 20. Some of them ain't going to hold fast 25 days, more or less 25 years. And all your so-called homies, if they ain't got, and even if they got real bread, niggas will go to the strip club and jerk $5,000. They ain't even send you $50, you know what I'm saying, for commissary. Y'all better wake up. Y'all better stop making these idiotic choices out here. And especially those of y'all that's rich. Some of y'all, we not going to be able to save. I'm sorry to say. All the teachers, all the math in the universe, y'all ain't with that. But remember, when you on demon time, remember when you on evil time, remember when you on self-destruction of yourself and people that look and act just like you, that it's only a matter of time. Because guess what? Karma wants to be paid all the time. Not some of the time, but all the time. So it's 360. If you put good karma out there, good karma is going to come back. If you put negative karma out there, then all you got to look forward to is negative karma coming back. So don't cry when it comes back to you. Accept the consequences just like y'all accepted the rewards. And you'll be all right. Even if you got to take that life in prison or whatever. Because at the end of the day, if that ain't what you want, then believe me, don't make those choices. Don't become a part of something that you really is not. don't start crying. You know what I'm saying? You in jail, man. You ain't going to no country club. You ain't going to no 5-star hotel, and now you talk about they keep the light on all night. Oh, are you crazy, man? But you ain't think about none of that when you was, hit 'em up, hit 'em up. You ain't think about that when you said, little shorty, on a mission. You ain't think about that when you did, your significant other dirty or slimy and whatever. Well, guess what? When you behind them walls, you in the belly of the beast, then you got all the time in the world. And that's what I said at the beginning. 8 million stories in a naked city. Once again, folks, once again, my brothers and sisters, once again, my Aelites and my comrades, please subscribe to God in Those Streets. I got nothing but the truth, and I'm going to put it in ways, you know what I'm saying, that you ain't got no choice but to accept the truth. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'm just getting into this, so I haven't been able to, get my screens right so I could get up on there with y'all brothers and everything else, but I'm coming. I'm getting it together. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that at all times I give you back something. So this segment right here, this episode, was a shout out for my great brother, Kendu, Allah making it back up out of the belly of the beast. And I know that I'll see you real soon, brother. So until then, enjoy your freedom. Peace.